Hello there, and welcome to a Donger deck discussion that is very close and dear to my heart. If you've watched any of our things before, you'll know that my name is Sith Holocron, and I come from a Runeterra group called the Dongers of Runeterra. Based between myself and two other guys, we set this up because of our love of the Heimer Vi deck. Now, the Heimer Vi deck has sadly lost its SS tier 1, tier A, tier perfection. It's lost it. It's been hammered. It's been destroyed. It's been nerfed. It is gone. And I have tried to make a Heimer deck, and it didn't really work. And I've tried, and as you will see during the week, if you keep watching, I have put Diana with Vi in an attempt to try and get her back into it. And then I thought, do you know what? I want to play Heimer Vi again. I want to play Heimer Vi again. It was the best deck in the meta. It has made my life fall in love with Runeterra. I want to play it again. But the old version was pretty much elusives. Play things on 3. You got elusives. You got more elusive Heimer Donger turrets. Off you went. You hit it for 9 damage. You withheld a few things more, and then you hit again. Which was fantastic, but, you know, one of the most NPE experiences for your opponent ever. You would see the Heimer Vi come down and just put your head down and go, well, this can't be a loss. And 80% of the time it was a loss. And the 20% of the time where you did win, it's probably because they didn't get either Heimer or Vi on the board because of a clunky draw. This time, however, I'm putting them in Targon, not Ionia. Because we need to keep Heimer alive. Keeping Heimer alive makes turrets. Making turrets makes Heimer win. We're done. So, here's the deck. We've went Targon. We've won 25 cards in Targon. We're at 15 P and Z. Of the 15 P and Z, 6 of them are Heimer. We've went for 25 spells and only 15 total land units. And they're all dirt cheap. In fact, not one of them costs more than 3. So I'm building the deck quite similarly to the old deck. And we've all played, or you've heard about, or played against Heimer Vi. The whole thing is to keep things going with Vi, drop down Heimer, put out tons of turrets, level Heimer up, game over. We're doing exactly the same thing here, except this time we're in Targon, because Targon has given Heimer Vi tools I don't think people have picked up on yet, because they're not thinking of Heimer Vi. Why I always think about Heimer Vi, and this deck has got ways to keep him safe, ways to keep him alive. And the most crucial thing is we don't give our monkeys what kind of turret we get. We don't care. We are going for unlimited, mega, never-ending turrets because of the spells that we've got, which will then flood the board, fire forward, defend, fire again, making more turrets, keep going, keep going, keep going, win. And this deck normally, you know, I've played it 4 times. I haven't lost. I actually had somebody put down the sad Poro face when he saw Heimer Vi, and 9 rounds later I got the thank you as it utterly destroyed his Tarek deck to pieces. So here's the deck. As I say, 25 spells, 15 units, and we're going to just go for the units first, which are going to be right at the bottom. There they are, Heimerdinger and Vi. So we can go right here and do them. So when you cast a spell, create a fleeting turret in hand with equal to its cost. It costs 0 this round. So anytime you play a spell, you get a 0 cost unit, which is pretty good. These are all the units. You know, what we wanted before was this. It was a 3. Now if you drop a 6 cost, you get a 6/1 elusive. Can you imagine people like cracking up about that? If you drop a 2 or a 3 now, you get a tough, a fearsome, or an overwhelm. So 4 cost spells, all pretty damn decent. But we've only got these. So predominantly what we're going for is this one. The 2/2 essentially. Really hard to kill, really quite annoying, easy to spread around, all that sort of stuff. But we have things that we can put in for 6s and 8s and all this kind of malarkey, which is just fantastic. So here's the deck. And this is how we play the deck. If you get a Heimer or a Vi in your opening mulligan, keep it. If you get both, bin probably Heimer and keep Vi. That was pretty much the way that the old deck played, and I'm going to play it in exactly the same way. This deck needs to stall out and invoke, because invoking is going to also win you the game. So, there are staples in any Heimer, Dinger, Vi deck. And Thermogenic Beam for 0 mana, but will become maximum mana for the amount of maximum damage that you can possibly do, will almost take out a Nautilus, will take out, hit a spell that hit something, so Mystic Shot, anything with Spell Shield, and then blast the life out of it with a Thermo Beam. Yeah, goodbye Aurelian Soul, you're dead, which is pretty good. So you would take any of these shots here instantly and then kill them, which is kind of good. So I would always leave these to later on. We're not playing Ezreal, we're playing Heimer Vi. So that is good for taking out things that are a problem. And then we go to Spacey Sketcher, which is our first unit, who is a gigantically huge 1/1. But his stats don't matter. His stats do not matter. Every single land unit that you've got will end up blocking. You will not throw them out. You will not throw them out once. Everybody's going to have more power and health than us. The reason Spacey Sketcher is in is because he gets to invoke a Celestial card that costs 3 or less. Some of those are units, and some of them are spells. Early, grab units. So you want a Spacey Sketcher in hand immediately, because you need board presence. But get something that you can put onto the board that will help you draw cards. So the 2/2 that draws a card when you play it, that's pretty good. There's a Challenger one, there's a Lifesteal one, there's loads of little tiny things that are all kind of good. There's even an Overwhelm, 4/1 Overwhelm, which is quite funny. And sometimes you will take that. We need to keep, like all Heimer decks, Heimerdinger safe. So let's say on round 5, you have got 2 spell mana and the 5 to drop Heimer. Now the problem is, people will try and kill Heimerdinger straight off the turn he's played. But cards like Guiding Touch are really good at keeping him alive. Because say they Mystic Shot him and they put him to 1/1. You can Guiding Touch this, it's a burst spell, you re-heal him. And if they've went out and they've put a unit out and then we drop down Heimer, the key to keeping Heimerdinger alive is to drop him when you don't think they've got anything for that amount of mana that can take him off the board. Because that is a huge win percentage of our deck, is making turrets. So keeping him alive is excellent. So is Pale Cascade. Give an ally 2/1 this round. So for instance, say your opponent has 5 and you have 7 because a couple of rounds ago you drew him or you got him in your opening hand. Keep some spell mana aside, especially if you have Pale Cascade, because Pale Cascade will now make Heimer a 3/4. So if they're trying to like blow you out of the water, that will give you some sort of a chance to keep him alive. Because you would play the card, that's Nightfall, you would draw another one, which is really good. We have 3 Mystic Shots, which are just fantastic for like taking small things off the board and or making 2 cost turrets for when Heimer is on the board. So that's a complete heal. So if you get Withering Wail and he's down to 1/2, keep him alive by using this. You can also use it to save your Nexus, which is stupidly important early game. So the first 4 to 5, so as we're going into the mid game, rounds 4, 5, and 6. Probably keeping your Nexus up as much as you can, even if it is only by 2, is fantastic. And the fact that it's burst and then you get to draw a card, fantastic. And then we have our only relatively beefy unit that, in all honesty, is just great. For 2, when you put him down, he becomes a 3/6 if you put him down as the first card of that day. A 3/6 will not be taken out on round 2. Can't be. There's nothing does 6 damage. And then he becomes his 3/2 again. So he becomes a brilliant blocker. He becomes something quite threatening if you're attacking. He's got enough kind of health there to be able to take on like the 1/1s and 2/2 or do blocks, maybe get damage. If not, if they're attacking, he can block and kill nearly everything on round 2. He is so good that he will last at least 2, if not 3 turns, which is superbly mana efficient. So that is why he is one of the 9 units in the deck. And as I said, it is imperative to keep this boy completely alive. So here's a card that hasn't really been used in any of the daybreaks. And I'm going to use 3 of them. This is SUNBLESSED VICOR, where you grant an ally 2 health. So for 2, at burst speed, he gets the shield from the shield bearer. That's that shield. That is that shield. Look at this. They're coming in, doing all their spinny stuff. We don't care. He says, I have a shield. Well, we've actually got that shield. Bouncing things off and granting it. So Heimer becomes a 1/5, then levels into a 2/6. That's a very hard Heimerdinger to get off, and that is easily this and Pale. That's only for the round. That's to completely heal him back to where he was. What ideally you want in your hand when you drop him down is this 2-cost spell. You get a 2-cost unit, and he becomes a 1/5, which is fantastic. If that isn't good enough, what do you see where we are in the 3 drops? We're running 2 Bastions. I'm sorry, you want to thermal beam me for 8 just to make sure he's dead. Well, no, thanks. There's a spell shield for the round. And I initially whacked 3 in here. But then you need something to stop them as well. You know, it's not all about being able to do things for your own side of the board. You have to stop Aurelian Soul. You have to stop Karma being Karma for the round. You have to stop Ezreal going kapoom, 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 and Mystic shotting you to death from 16 to 0 because he's playing puff caps. Hushing him is just brilliant. It's just brilliant. And you wouldn't hush him until he's leveled. But then, if he's attacking, just do it. Because then you get a fleeting one as well. Now, we're only running the 1. And I took the 1 hush from the 3 Bastion. But the fact that you can get this for 3 mana, which gives you a 3-cost unit if Heimer is there, will keep him alive from all spells, is absolutely critical in this deck. Keep him alive. That's the key. It has always been the case in Heimer Vi decks. And now, maybe you can start to see that the Sketcher, Guiding Touch, Pale Cascade, the Soul Blare, SUNBLESSED VICOR, Bastion, and Hush is the reason why I think Targon is easily the best region to reinvent Heimer Vi from. And our last unit is the Solari Princess. So, while the Sketcher gets you a Celestial card that costs 3 or less, the Priestess gets you a Celestial card that costs 4, 5, or 6. Now, here's the thing. We don't have anything really big outside of Heimerdinger or Vi. The only cards we have are ones of each, 1 Progress Day, 1 Sunburst. If you can drop through her and take the 6-cost one and you have Heimer on the board, you're now getting that 6/1 elusive, which is the equivalent of 3 of the old turrets, because they were all 2/1s. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. If you can take it, because in an ideal world, what you want is you want a Spacey Sketcher, you want a Solari Shield Bearer, you want a Solari Priestess, and you like the Heimerdinger. But any spells in between here to keep people away are fantastic. This will invoke something that costs 3 or less. This will invoke something between 4 and 6. And then we can go into the rest of the deck. So obviously that's the last of our units outside of champions. So keep your champions safe. You need them to defend your Nexus, or you will be doing nothing with your Guiding Touch apart from healing it twice for 2. Now you will draw a card, which is great, but you don't want to be spending all this money and mana if you haven't got Heimer down, because you're wasting turrets. But sometimes you have to, and that's completely fine too. Flash of Brilliance used to cost 3, was the most broken card in the deck. It was this deck that made this into a 4. You create in hand a random 6 cost spell from your regions. Now, why aren't we running 3 of these? Well, because once you've done that, it only refills 3, so you're actually 1 mana down. It isn't as efficient as it was before, because literally it was that broken that you would play Flash of Brilliance on, say you had 6 mana total and the 3 spell mana. You could just repeat this and play all 3, get 3 elusives onto the board, and you're then getting 6 cost spells as well for horrendousness later on. I'm so tempted to make 3 of them. So, because if people complained that this deck was rubbish because of 2 1s, can you imagine getting these and then just whacking for 18? Which is why one of the reasons why the princess is you take the 6, you can use these to get 6s, and then just fire across the board. In theory and in practice, this deck is superb at getting that card out. Really good at getting the 2/2 toughs out as well. Pretty good at getting the 3/1 fearsomes out as well. I'm pretty sure it is the fearsome is the 3. Yes, it is. And then the 4 is the overwhelm, which you will get when you Flash of Brilliance. The fact that you get the 6 is just so damn good. It's so damn good. Especially late game, where it just destroys everything. And then we go Starshaping, because if you remember, I like things to synergize. I like them to flow. If you're not getting units out, your thing is going to be low. This, 3 or less. Priestess. 4, 5, or 6. Starshaping. 7 or more. Or heal an ally or your Nexus 5 at burst speed. Everything in here is at burst speed, apart from Mystic Shot. Everything else is burst apart from the thermal. It's brilliant. Well, apart from Sunburst, I forgot I even put it in there. And the reason I put it in there is because it's an amazing card. But Starshaping is easily my favorite spell. You're going to get a 5 cost unit. Want to know what the 5 cost unit is if you've got him? Okay, not a problem. There we go. You're getting the Rocket Blaster. A 5/1 quick attack that is an even better sniper than a leveled up Diana. That's ridiculous. That's not dying. That just stays there. So 3 of those, mainly for the heal, either on Heimer or on your Nexus. Then we have Vi. These are so cheap. These are so cheap. You will get your Vi out at least a 6/4, if not a 7/4. You only need to play 3 more cards, and she is then striking the Nexus after her first strike for 5 as well, which is better than Decimate, which is totally ridiculous. Vi is just, oh, she's so good. There we go. When I strike a unit, so when you're attacking, deal 5 to the enemy Nexus. Then she's got, oh, I mean, she's just fantastic. Which is why Vi and Heimer ruled the Runeterra world. They were the king and queen of everywhere. That were impossible to beat, which is why they nerfed so many cards. They nerfed the turrets. They changed all the turrets around. They completely ruined everything. But the last 2 cards, Sunburst, I think, is just fantastic. You deal 6 to a unit, but you can also silence it this round and deal 6 to it as well. If you've managed to put 2 into, say, the Mind Splitter, then you can silence the Mind Splitter. You can attack with your units that were stunned, and then you kill it, which is just, what? But if if that's the first card you play, you silence it and then do 6 to it. You can still just do 6 to it. It's fine, but you can, say for instance, Mystic Shot it, because that's fast, and then put the slow in and kill it. Sounds good to me. Only the one of, but I would genuinely also could take this off and put another Flash of Brilliance in. The only thing is that because it only refills 3, you're not getting as much as you can, but you do get the 6 cost. And then Heimer's favorite card. He absolutely loved this. This gets you the 8/8 monster turret. You draw 3 and then you reduce all those cards by 1. This I have found to be something very close to my heart, and it works. And I don't think people will see a Heimer Vi deck anywhere at all. I think that people will go, has this guy not got the new cards? Has he got nothing from Targon? Is he brand new? Has he looked at an old website and it said Heimerdinger, there we go? These new cards: Pale Cascade, Bastion, Hush, Shield Bearer, including the Mystic Shots and the Thermo Beams and the Flash of Brilliance and Progress Days. Everything in here keeps people alive, makes better turrets, gives you elusive 6/1s, can literally take boards apart once Heimer is down. We have ways to keep him alive. This deck, I genuinely think, is going to could become tier 1 all over again. Guys, the deck code's in the pinned comments. All our social media links are also in the pinned comments. Thank you very much for spending just over 20 minutes listening to why I think this deck can be tier 1 again. So until the next time, thanks for watching. Dongers out.